122 medical students ended their lives in last 5 years, and more than 1200 have left their medical courses, and these figures are from the National Medical Commission. Third year BAMS students hangs himself to death. IITian in Guwahati commits suicide by hanging. Another BTech student hangs himself. Parents had sent their beloved kids to these professional institutes with a hope that they will get doctor or engineer after some time. What they actually got was dead body. Instead of attending convocation, they ended up attending funerals. Parents dreamed their medical students to look something like this. The image of an engineer is to look something like this. What turns them to look like this is to be identified to prevent loss of these young lives, these brilliant lives. These were the students who were among the brighter students in their classes. They had cleared the toughest of entrance exams. Then what made them consider themselves failures and they decided to end their lives? The society needs to realize the reasons and possible precautionary measures. Otherwise, the next kid hanging himself could be from any family around you or maybe even your own family. Hello, welcome to Ask Dr. Gupta. This video is second in our series of causes and the preventive measures for suicides among teenagers. In our previous video, we had discussed the details of suicides committed in coaching centers, which we all know because of quota. Reasons and preventive measures for those kind of suicides have been discussed already quite in detail in the previous video. But it is clear that suicides by students unfortunately continue even after admission to universities and professional institutions. IITs and medical colleges face this problem more, though no institution is exempt. It is strange that a student who has proven his excellence, academic excellence in NEET or in JEE considers that he is a failure and decides to take his life. IITs found this to be a major concern. This became such a big problem that they decided to discuss it and to take precautionary measures. Last April, they expressed the need to pay special attention to this. The problem has become so big that the Honorable President expressed concern in public in July 2023. We shall try to decode the reasons for stress that continue to trouble these students even after they clear the cutthroat NEET and JEE exams. Many reasons for suicides in universities and professional institutions are different from the reasons for suicides in coaching centers that we discussed in a previous discussion. These students have won the rat race for admission to professional courses. Competition among peers will remain, but it is not an existential question like it was at the time of competitive exams. Then why these drastic steps? The reason is that the pressure to clear the entrance exams is getting replaced by another problems. Let us see what these pressures and problems can be. There is a big misconception prevailing among the students and among the families that once you clear the JEE or NEET, the life is settled and the life is peaceful. When a student enters a professional institution, he discovers that the reality is exactly opposite. The pressure doesn't end at the time of university admission. It actually starts after that. Entrance exams are held so that only brightest students enter the limited seats of these tough professional courses. These courses, be it MBBS, be it IIT, be it LLB, they need many times more time and effort than the education up to 12th class was taking. Dummy admissions in 12th class with score-based coaching by professional coaches worsens the situation. Such a student, weak in basics of the courses, enters a professional university. He has to catch up with this weakness in addition to the taxing schedule of the professional courses. During preparation of the competitive exams, it is very normal for the students to sleep late in the night and get up late in the morning. However, the university schedule mandates getting up early in the morning and reaching the classes on time. All these things put together puzzles a student. The joy of having cleared the entrance exam evaporates within a week. It is overshadowed by the pressure of studies. These students many times are already drained because of entrance exams. They don't have the energy and the drive left to set fresh goals, and they sometimes end up being directionless. I, being from medical profession myself, shall discuss the problems of medical students first. Reasons discussed in video on suicides in coaching centers remain fully valid in case of suicides by medical students as well. The additional reasons that can lead to frustration to the extent that the student commits suicide are multiple. First, many students do not like biology as a subject. Still, they opt for medical because it was a dream. Sometimes dream of their parents since their birth. They clear NEET because they were indeed good in biology, but they were exceptionally good in physics and chemistry. They score good in physics and chemistry and get good ranks in NEET exam. Now, once in the medical college, they are left to read a subject that was at the bottom of their liking. This might affect their scores. Sometimes, despite being brilliant students, they do not do that well in medical college. They are then prone to get disappointed and depressed. This can lead to disinterest in studies. Second problem in any professional college, particularly medical colleges, is extension of what they faced on entry of quota or any other coaching center. These students have always been cream of their school and their coaching center. They did exceedingly well in their coaching and they cleared the NEET exam or the JEE exam with flying colors. Now, once they are in medical college, they are surrounded by such cream all around. A student who has been topper throughout in the school, in the coaching center, everywhere, might actually fail in one of the subjects. This is not rare. This puts unimaginable stress on a student who has entered the medical college with a dream that he has been topper throughout and shall be topping the medical college also. This is compounded by the shock that is expressed, either actually expressed by the family or feared by the student, that how will the family react. So a lot of maturity is needed in this situation by the family. Unfortunately, the medical curriculum has not been critically evaluated, has not been critically reviewed by successive governments in our country. It remains a prolonged and protracted affair. Undergraduate degree of MBBS has become almost useless. MBBS today is virtually a qualifying exam for entrance exam to a specialty course. The standalone respect for MBBS degree has almost evaporated. The MBBS graduates, they either have to practice in a remote village or they are left to work like a low paid paramedical staff in big hospitals who will be carrying out the instructions of the specialists. Now, with specialization becoming norm, becoming a compulsion, it takes 10 to 12 years of prime youth of a student. Many times students feel that this is endless journey and they just give up. So we should be preparing the students mentally since beginning for this. A sensitive child might get moved when exposed to wards. I have seen students fainting on entry to wards, especially to emergency ward. Many students even cry once they reach their hostel rooms after having been to wards. In extreme cases, this might instill a feeling of being unable to handle that much suffering. So the student should be primed before going to medical college that this is all that they are going to face, and actually they are going there to alleviate the sufferings of these people. One more thing. Postgraduate medical education needs very hard work. The tenure of training period is finite. The PG degree is of 3 years duration. And a student has to extract maximum training, maximum experience within this finite 3 years period. Many students who have never been exposed to hard work, they feel crushed under this weight of work. Again emphasizes the need to make a student strong in all aspects before sending them to hostels. Doctors resigning PG seats from branches that demand more hard work, demand more time, like orthopedics, like surgery, is not unheard of these days. Those who understand that designing is not an option sometimes feel trapped. Parental ambitions are a problem here also. Many parents, especially those who are doctors themselves, plan a particular specialty as a career for their children. Cardiologists might see a cardiologist, general surgeon, a specialist surgeon. It is not rare for them to be seen accumulating equipment for that specialty even before the student has taken admission into that particular specialty course. A child might find it unachievable and might just give up. So avoid building this kind of pressure. When we see engineering, then the many problems of engineering courses are actually similar to medical. Schedule is quite taxing, especially at IITs. Students are sometimes unable to handle the endless projects and internships. Vacations are also spent on training. Later on, the campus placements are a big source of stress, particularly if they start looking at peers. To avoid this, we should, of course, work as hard as we can towards our goals, but should have a plan B ready, and that plan B should be discussed. If we see law, and this one training needs memory of an elephant. Vacations are not to keep the students away from the harsh weather, but they are given to let the student join internship in different courts under different lawyers. The moot courts and different competitions involve a lot of travel and take away time from the university schedule. All this put together makes grades in university exams a problem. Placement is a worry here also. So parents and students need to be prepared for that. So we finally realize that it is not only medical that is tough. If you have to become someone in particular, then you will have to work hard. There is no shortcut, there is no option. And not everyone can handle this. It is duty of the parents to make the child understand that the universities are not to enjoy their tenure, the professional institutions are not to enjoy their tenure there, but to get trained to become a good professional. And the training is going to be tough. It is going to be tough but possible. One problem that students face and sometimes complain about is hostility from teachers. Students clearing NEET and JEE are undoubtedly brilliant students, many times sharper than their teachers. Many of these students, out of habit and out of their efforts to look smarter, they start pointing out mistakes of their teachers. This will obviously not be liked by the faculty. Generally, this is not taken seriously either by student or by the teachers, but sometimes it ends up becoming student versus teacher tussle. This is one recent example where a junior doctor committed suicide because the professor did not clear his PG thesis. A teacher cannot be forced to accept what a student has written, but at the same time, the teacher is official guide of the student in guiding the student to write a thesis. This outcome is devastating for both the sides, should be avoided at all cost. My suggestion to students is that if you feel your teacher is wrong, then please go and talk one to the teacher. If this remains unresolved, then a student can talk to another friendly teacher. But under no circumstances, never ever stand up in the class and point out mistake of a teacher. This will be taken as humiliation. One practical thing to be remembered is that a student may or may not be able to harm a teacher, but a teacher can harm a student a lot. Students should therefore avoid being part of the university teachers' politics and of gossip. A student grows only in the feet of Guru, not on their head. Remember, a teacher is also your senior in profession. He is much better connected than you can be. So a teacher will be your biggest support in getting internships, in getting good fellowships, even in getting good placements. Sometimes there are unfair demands from seniors or from faculty that cannot be met. I have heard a professor of gynecology in one of the older medical colleges was demanding gold jewelry in return from junior doctors to let them pass the final exam. We know bad apples are everywhere. Isolated instances of sexual harassment are also not unheard of. This needs resolution by sitting with the family, discussing the individual problem, and then trying to find a best possible way out. On the other hand, students trying to threaten teachers with fake cases of every kind is unfortunately becoming increasingly common. So none of these sides is absolutely clean. We all need to grow up and we all need to become a more sane society. Today, nuclear families have unfortunately resulted in a bit pampered kids, in many cases, if not the most. Nuclear families are unavoidable these days, but one major side effect of being grown up in a nuclear family is the child being clueless about adjusting with peers. Joint families taught a lot about discipline, about restraint, and about respect to fellow family members. Now, these days, a student learns all this in hostels after burning fingers. Today, unfortunately, the first sign of care and affection is to keep the child away from work. So a girl will not work in kitchen, a boy will not work in field or in shop. This has increased household expenditure on servants, on maids and on staff. Plus these children get launched in life absolutely unprepared. Earlier, the elder siblings used to help their mother in household work and also in look after of younger ones. It was a passive effort in training for future when they are exposed to the cruel world. Boys used to help their father in business and in farm work from as young age as 10 years. I myself used to sit in my uncle's shop when in my native village during my vacations. Those small sittings taught me a lot even when I was a young child. At the age of just 9 years, I was able to handle small transactions. This was learning as well as play, both. I have at least two of my friends who used to go home after school, keep their bags at home, go to their father's shop and relieve him for lunch. And mind you, both of these friends are now very well settled specialist doctors. Children today sleep in AC rooms, they have air conditioned school buses, they have air conditioned classrooms and move around in air conditioned cars. The first time they are exposed to sweat is in the university lecture theatre. Today's kids do not have habit of walking. They eat junk food and don't burn it out, so they become obese and get ill very often. Such students, when walking from their hostel room to classroom in a campus of 1000 acres, get exhausted very fast. This one aspect will trouble a citizen throughout his life, so should be avoided. We should actively prevent this from affecting our child. Air conditioning should be used judiciously. Child should have habit of sweating from the beginning. We can start it by encouraging outdoor sports. Simple running in a park near your home can be a good beginning. As a student, I used to pedal a bicycle for about 50-55 kilometers every day. Your child should be made fit and endurant enough to do at least one third of it today. If the school is not far away, then we should encourage a child to walk or to go to school by bicycle. Make them sweat. Let them drive only when they are legally allowed to. Every child, this is something to be remembered, that every child, irrespective of gender, should be taught basic cooking before leaving them in hostel. Many hostels do provide a common gas stove or an induction plate. If a child can cook anything more than Maggie, then this will be useful in many situations. This knowledge of cooking is even more useful when a child joins a job and is staying alone, because the support of mess may or may not be available in all these situations. Daily calls from parents keep on reminding the child about home, and they do not let them settle down in their new environment. These stresses are in addition to the stress of the curriculum and of the hostel, so avoid compounding these stresses. If you get a distress call from child, which is actually happenable and does happen once or twice in entire child's tenure, then try to pacify the child. Aggressive response in that time can complicate the situation. At the same time, keep the number of hostel warden handy to ensure safety of your child. One more reason compounding the stress of students is food. Food that is served in hostels is generally bland. It is safe, but it is bland. Ordering from outside cannot be daily exercise, and it is not always feasible. Food delivery boys are not allowed inside hostels for security reasons. Sometimes the pocket money also does not allow daily ordering of food or daily eating out. This itself does not lead to suicides, but it adds to overall frustration and dislike for the environment. Students will have to learn to eat a bit bland food. Food in hostel mess is generally safe, though it is borderline in taste. Eating out should not be made a norm. This will increase the expenses, and this will also make the child sick. One thing also the parents should be alert about, that is the substance abuse, which is very common. Addictions and substance abuses are quite common in hostels. The reason is the peers promoting it as cool. Many youngsters, they taste alcohol or cigarette for the first time when they are in hostel. So child should be told again and again that this is not cool. All these problems need sensitive handling by parents. A child needs detailed counseling before being left in hostel. Should be made to understand that even a ceiling fan provided in their hostel room can go bad. It can stop working, or there will be power cuts. So student will have to tolerate that. They will have to share their room and their belongings with peers, with their roommates. They should also be taught about how much to share with their peers and how to take care of their cash and valuables. It is very common to see roommates, especially girls, using your child's toiletries and cosmetics without asking. If it is objected to, then it leads to fight. So student will have to learn about how to keep them safe. Lending money to friends should be avoided. should be done very cautiously, if at all. A few things I feel everybody might not agree, should be allowed freely by parents. First is the purchase of reading books, including novels. Today, every child is busy in laptops and in mobiles, so if they are reading books, it should be encouraged. Even if they are reading novels, no problem. Eating should be allowed freely unless it becomes junk food or alcohol all the time. I repeat, do not encourage much eating out. Habit of being able to feed oneself in situations where the food is not best will be very helpful in long run. One has to realize as a parent and remember that habits cannot be changed now. The child is away from you. If you do not like any habit, then sit them, counsel them. If it doesn't work, then you might have to learn to live with that habit. Otherwise, there will be friction in the family. The child should be encouraged to discuss their problems with you. 1 or 2 video calls in a month is a good idea. The calls should not be to show sympathy or to show pity on the child's hardships, but to show them the way forward, to way out of the situation. Too frequent calls, as I said earlier also, actually create problems instead of solving them. Call in the middle of a class can create awkward situation for a child, so it is better if the child is told to call when he or she has time. One aspect is a love affair. I discussed it in our previous video also. Love affair is a much common reason for suicides in universities than it is in coaching centers. At this age, attraction towards opposite gender is natural. These students study together for a long time in professional courses. Our Bollywood industry also has made love affair something like a very important part of life, which is actually not true, but it has been projected. Breakup is taken as rejection and suicide is not rare. I will re-emphasize here what I discussed in previous video also, that a child should be friendly enough with at least one parent to tell whatever is going on with him or her. It makes counseling easier. The child feels that how can it happen to me? They should be told that it happens. They aren't the only one facing this. Role of father becomes very important here. A father will be the biggest support of a child in this situation. The father should not be dreaded by the child. Remember one thing, scolding a youngster at this stage can be disastrous. In fact, it will be the opposite. The parent might have to bear aggression of a puzzled youngster. But remember, never ever say, I had told you. This is always counterproductive. Give example of people around you who have cleared obstacles in their life. More often than not, a child feels that he has lost a loving friend. He is actually looking for or searching for someone who can make up for the deficit and who can be better than a caring parent. Child needs an outlet for distress, so please be a patient listener. Speak only when the child has finished speaking. One more reason which is overlooked most of the times, is uncommon but is definitely present, is addiction to online gaming. The instance that is being shown here is about a 10th class student, but a fresh entrant into university is also not immune to this. So parents should ensure that a child understands the consequences of this addiction and remains away from this. The list that I have discussed is by no means comprehensive or complete. Still, taking care of these points can be a good beginning. A student in university needs care like a child, so please do provide this care, but at the same time also ensure that the child grows and becomes independent. With all this, I wish all the students a very successful career and a very successful professional life. Thank you.